It's Thursday, the 27th of April, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's jump straight into story number 1, a big one. There's a growing view that the Reserve Bank will keep interest rates on hold next week after inflation figures that were released yesterday came in slightly lower than expected.
The Consumer Price Index for the March quarter came in at 1.4% and 7% annually. The numbers were below forecasts, and the quarterly figure was the lowest since the December quarter 2021. Undoubtedly, we are past the peak in inflation, though how quickly price rises come down is still up for the debate. The trimmed mean rate, which takes out a bunch of volatile items and is the one the Reserve Bank cares about most, came in at 1.2% for the quarter, 6.6% for the year, again pretty good. Treasurer Jim Chalmers said the figures show the worst of inflation is now behind us, though they will hang around for longer than people want, and price rises remain unacceptably high.
Where are those price rises? Where are the price increases still prevalent?
Economists like to split things into goods and services. Now, the pace of goods price hikes has slowed appreciably. That's good news. For example, clothing and footwear prices actually fell during the March quarter. So too household furniture and petrol prices. Food prices were still rising. On the services side of the economy, inflation remains much too high. Rents are contributing to that. So too health services, childcare, those sorts of things are still jumping in price. One little interesting fact, Michael, during the quarter, domestic travel prices rose by nearly 5%, but international travel prices were down 9%.
And what's it all mean for interest rates, Sean?
While the numbers were lower than forecast, they weren't a lot lower, so it will be a close run thing next Tuesday. Certainly, yesterday's Bureau of Statistics inflation data adds to the case for not lifting interest rates. Economists are coming around to that view. Professional investors are coming around to that view. Let's hope so.
Indeed. On to story number 2 now, and the federal government has backed down somewhat on its $12 per gigajoule price cap for gas producers supplying the East Coast market, Sean.
The government said yesterday it will extend, without an end date, the price cap, which was introduced late last year, but it will also allow for exemptions if producers satisfy the ACCC, that's the competition watchdog, that they'll deliver gas to the domestic market. Now, small producers will also be exempt from the price cap if they supply the domestic market. While the intent of the policy was welcomed by the industry, it doesn't do much to provide policy certainty. The government stepped in late last year to try and cap energy costs. The producers said under those caps, it isn't worth investing as much in the sector. That, of course, leads to concerns about supply problems. So now the government's saying if you help the local market, we'll help you out. All a bit confusing, really.
Yeah, sure is. Okay, story number 3, poker machine reform, Sean, has been a hot topic across the country over the past year, but particularly in New South Wales. And new figures, really shocking figures actually, show the state's gamers have lost $4.3 billion to the state's 86,000 poker machines in just 6 months.
Yes, the new state Labor government won the election, notwithstanding it took a much slacker line on poker machine reform. Now, the latest official data shows statewide losses in pubs and clubs from June to November last year at $4.26 billion. Incredible. That generated about $1.2 billion in tax revenue. New South Wales is home to about half of Australia's poker machines. A New South Wales Crime Commission report last year found the machines were one of the last safe havens for criminals by allowing them to launder money.
On to story number 4. One of the faster growing car brands in Australia is BYD, the Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer. This is an interesting story, Sean.
It is. Eagers Automotive, the country's biggest car dealership, expects considerable momentum in the sale of EVs this year as Australia catches up to other markets where the adoption of electric vehicles is happening much faster. Now, according to a story in the Financial Review, Eagers has the exclusive retail distribution rights in Australia to BYD, which is actually short for Build Your Dreams. It is now the second biggest selling EV manufacturer in this country behind Tesla. In fact, it's just overtaken Volkswagen as the biggest selling car brand in China. It's massive. In Australia, it's done well on the back of price. Its Atto 3 model sells for between $48,000 and $51,000, much cheaper than the cheapest Tesla. Eagers Chief Executive Keith Thornton said there's a generational shift underway as Australian customers are becoming much more attracted to electric vehicles or hybrids, Michael.
Okay, last one. Story number 5, Sean. Tokyo-based iSpace Inc. said it lost contact with a lander bound for the moon and that the craft, which didn't have anyone on board, thankfully. Probably crashed.
iSpace's Hakuto R Mission 1 lander was scheduled to touch down yesterday morning in what would have been among the very first commercial space attempts to place a lander on the moon. But communication was lost shortly after engineers confirmed the lander was in a vertical position on the final approach. In a statement, iSpace said it's been determined that there is a high probability that the lander eventually made a hard landing on the moon surface. Quite the understatement, Michael.
Yeah, sounds a little bit like one, doesn't it? There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 27th of April, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, of course, the Amazon Echo smart speaker range comes with Alexa built in. Simply say, Alexa, play the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed podcast to catch the latest episode. And you can grab yours now at amazon.com.au. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.